Today is a huge day. After 18 months of emails, messages and Zoom calls, Joe is actually going to come down to the Combe Valley Campers workshop and check out Chippy. We're going to be going over what he wants to get from the vehicle, and we're going to tell him all the bits and pieces that we think can be repaired or improved to make sure that he has a reliable vehicle that's going to be loads of fun for him to enjoy. Let's go. After assessing the vehicle and having some of the specialists coming down, we've actually got the owner. Joe, thank you for coming down.
Oh,
I really
pleasure.
appreciate it. Give you one of those.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming down. It's going to be a good day today. You know, we're just going to look over the bus, check out underneath and see what's going on. I really can't wait to really sort of get stuck into it. But what is it you wanted to sort of achieve whilst he's here?
I love him to death, but I want to make sure that I can just get in on a lovely day like today, just jump in and think, right, we're off the beach, and not have to worry about breaking down, calling for help, things falling off. So yeah, just sort of give it a big once over, any improvements you can make to the inside and the outside, just to make it sort of, keeping it sort of authentic. I love the fact that it's still very much like the 60s inside. I want to keep that, but still have almost like little hidden mod cons just to make it a smooth ride. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've picked an absolute gem here. You know, Chippy's obviously a very, very good van, a good camper van. But anything we can do to improve it, I think, is going to be good. It's had a restoration in the past from what we've seen. As everybody's seen so far, we've had a good look over everything. The only areas of concern on our end are underneath. So we've already had a quick look inside, haven't we? And we've decided what improvements you'd like in there. But I think the next stage is if we lift him up, or give him the really pop the bonnet, I guess. Give him a good inspection underneath. Don't worry, there's no horror stories. There's no horror stories. He's actually a very, very good vehicle. And you should be proud of what you've got for sure. But there are improvements to be made. Brilliant. He is 60 years old now? Must be, 1966. So he's getting on. But he's been looked after in the past. And so, let's see what we can do to improve him. I'm hoping you don't find a dead badger underneath.
Oh dear.
No, dead animals are underneath.
No, he's been good so far, but let's get it lifted up and go from there.
Perfect.
Sweet.
I was just thinking as well, with the windscreen washer, these things, I have to like pump it with my thumb, and it's like the tiniest dribble. Is there any newer way of doing that, or is that still? So is that what you've done on that? So in the past you do. And that will usually as well. That sometimes it can leak. It's a bit of like I think it needs a bit of like a looking over, because it can move around quite a lot in there. So I sort of fill it up with. So water. We're looking at potentially, so that would be a 12-volt motor. So we'd put maybe an extra little button under the dash. That will make an electric motor go, and then it will squirt out. So, and once we're doing, because one of the improvements you obviously wanted was getting the wipers working. So whilst we're in that area underneath the dash, we can make all those improvements as well. But it's more a case of for when bugs hit it, rather than because I think if it's raining, chances are I won't go out in it. Just stop. So it's more a case of just knowing that it's good there. If I ever get like a splat on the windscreen or something, I can just get rid. The problem is with these, obviously, they're pretty lame in their design. And they were just designed to remove water. And like these, when you see that, they're pathetic. Like, they're better off. We're better off leaning out the window and spitting on the windows and waving it with my hand. So, that's absolutely fine. I'm sure there's kits. If not, we can engineer something. I was going to use the words cobble something together, but that's not the thing we do. We will engineer something so you'd have a 12-volt motor mounted we'd wire in a switch, and then you'd have that done. So super. I'm just going to check everything underneath is all well and good.
And then we'll get him up.
So this is where you'll see the holes of where we used to put our feet through to flintstone it, where we weren't. It's not too rusted though, is it? Or
no,
is
it's not. It's not rusty. It has rusted in the past, and then it's had metal welded up on top. So
something as well. Where I live now, I don't actually have a garage.
Okay.
So, but I've got the cover that I was going to put over. But does that mean that it's still rust from underneath? If rain's hitting the floor, could it splash up underneath and still cause damage to it?
Effectively, yeah.
Okay.
And there's a couple of things we can do to prevent that. I mean, the best thing you could potentially do is to have some sort of shelter.
Yeah.
And there are temporary shelters you can do. They're almost like polytunnels.
Like a bubble kind of thing.
Yeah, there's polytunnels. You can get, so there's one in particular, it's called a carcoon.
Right.
And it's literally a bubble you drive into.
Yes.
And then you cover it over.
Yeah.
However, being on the southeast, you might want something a bit more of a structure.
Yeah.
The next level up from that is a framework tent.
Right.
If you've got the space on a driveway or something.
Okay.
And then obviously up from that is a garage in the future potentially.
Yeah.
So, but yes, a cover will work short term, and to make sure he doesn't rust underneath, we can do what's called an underseal treatment. So that can be a wax oil or even a paint that we could apply underneath.
Right.
And that might be something you want to consider as well. But for the most part, it's absolutely fine.
Do I get to pick the colour of the paint?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, in fact, this training that we did on with U-Pole paints last week. You might have seen it on our story. That front we painted, and you can actually tint that paint.
Oh, on the front, yes.
To whatever this is. So if you wanted it to be the same colour underneath, or if you wanted it bright pink, it's entirely up to you.
Floral. Why am I scared to go underneath?
Unless we've got, because of its design and its year, there's a lot of things here that are completely outdated, but there are modern versions that we can fit to make it better. You've already had a disc brake upgrade.
Right, okay, yes.
So the disc brakes you'll see here, that's a modern upgrade that someone's fitted.
Yeah.
So, and it's got new calipers.
Yeah.
And so it's a really nice, powerful unit. However, in a modern car with disc brakes, you have your pedal, which will put pressure into a servo, which is almost like an amplifier, and then that will push the fluid to the brakes. This vehicle doesn't have it. The pedal pushes into this master cylinder here, but there's no servo, there's no amplifier.
Right.
So what we propose is that we put your servo in, and that would fit here. Then this master cylinder would fit behind that. So there's a big area here we can fit all this stuff in. Or is it the other side? I can't quite remember. There's one of these sides that it will fit in. And then we'll run new brake pipes, and then that will give this, the brake system, the power needed to use those calipers properly, to use those brake discs properly. So at the moment you've got an old-fashioned braking system to go with modern equipment. If you do one upgrade, normally they'll have to upgrade the other. So that's why we haven't. That's why you're finding the brakes a bit wooden. It's called. So it feels like you're pressing wood on wood. There's no real friction being felt there underneath.
I put my foot and I'm like, okay, brake. Right, brake. Why are you not braking this?
Sometimes you might feel you need to pump the pedal to build up the pressure, and then you put it down, and that might give you some more. But the first thing, when I had Neil come around from Lightsteer, the first thing he did was grab the wheel and do that. And if you feel here, for a start, that is loose. And this is loose, and that's everything. And now that's not the wheel that is about to fall off or anything like that. That's fine. So you haven't been driving a death trap. I promise.
Good.
So that's basically every joint from here to this joint here. All right, to here as well. And I can physically show you the movement. This is called a ball joint here. And if can you actually see that movement there?
It's almost like it's not tight enough on
so that's a very tired piece of equipment. It's potentially likely that is, at least 10 years old, maybe even original. The original stuff is good and strong, but obviously everything has a shelf life. So that's what we propose, is to rebuild this area here. This spindle on an older vehicle such as this is called a king and pin or king and link pin suspension. And there's so many joints in it, everything gets worn out, so it's best to rebuild them as a whole. I would suggest new morning horses. I would suggest replacing shock absorbers, all of the ball joints, this the steer. So this is my left and right movement there. This is all part of the steering. So to move the wheels left and right, it's from here, then goes to this arm, which goes to this pin, which goes to this bar, to this steering box here. So there's so many points at which it can feel loose, which is why when you're driving it, you can get a good, 5 to 10 degrees of movement before you actually turn the wheel. Which if you want it driving like not a new car, but at least a new splitty, all of these things will have to be replaced. And we can see that some bits have been replaced in the past, but it's a case of getting them fitted, replacing them, and then aligning everything so it works right. So it all starts from here. This is the steering box. So your steering wheel is connected to this part. And there's a big gear in there. And also the other thing that we'd suggest we replace is this front beam. So your front suspension, rather than having springs like you'd have a modern car, this is called torsion bar suspension. And after speaking to Neil and Simon, they suggest you'd probably get a replacement beam.
Cool.
All right.
To one that is springs, or
no, not to one that is springs, to replace that, because again, that's 50, 60 years old. It's doubtful that's ever come apart. Plus, it's been welded up in the past and it started to rot as well. So, best to probably get that replaced.
Rot's a big no-no.
We do not want any rot in this car at all. In terms of where it has had rot in the past, you can see where it's had metal welded in here, but it has all had this paint on, so it's a good start. But I think in terms of the protection underneath, we spray like a wax oil underneath as well.
Cool.
So basically, we're talking, to recap everything we've just said, is a complete overhaul of the front suspension and brakes, because you will actually get that positive feeling left to right. Your brakes will be like a more modern vehicle, and then potentially looking at the power steering as well. Cool. So you'll literally be sort of like a modern car, just one finger steering sort of thing, and that'll be absolutely fine. In terms of the structure of the vehicle, spot on for the moment. Cool. If we put a good layer of wax oil on whilst it's here, even better. That'll give it even more structural rigidity, I guess, and a better chance in the future of staying nice. And obviously when everything's been stripped off. Brilliant. Cool. And that's basically it. So to here, we're done. Okay, everything that's important that controls the vehicle is here. And the bits that I said from Simon Butland, this is your accelerator pedal linkage. You can see how that's all
looks very like flimsy, doesn't it?
Yeah, so that's metal on metal hinges, whereas the parts he does is all beautifully engineered, what's called rose jointed linkages and stuff like that. So that will just completely improve it. Good. All right.
Yeah, it looks like, now you see it like underneath, you think that's what was making the vehicle go along.
So when you've got maybe a hesitation at the engine end, so you put your foot down, it goes, or it's not picking up like it should do. That's a combination of everything from your pedal all the way to the back of the motor. So again, that's all things we can improve. Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video. We're doing a whole series on Chippy, so if you don't want to miss any episodes, make sure to give this video a like and click subscribe. Thank you very much. Now back to the show. So moving down the vehicle.
Do you ever smack your head on it?
Yeah, I'm 6'1", so I've got to be careful. This wiring all here, so this is wiring that we're going to those gauges that we've seen in the front, or there's speaker cables that are running in some of these. This won't ever look like this again. We'll run this and protect it so it looks like it should be there, rather than just a bit of an afterthought with some cable ties. We'll make it all run through beautifully.
There's a part actually on here that me and my cousin replaced ourselves. Where is it? I think it might be this plastic thing here.
Right, yeah.
I remember
for the
last
heater.
night I drove down to Wiltshire, the hot air, where it comes out the hot air or something, it got churned up in the fan belt. Oh no. And so we managed to get a part and replace it.
Oh brilliant, well done.
But it was a bit of a bodge job, so that's good to remember that actually.
Good. Well, that's all stuff that will improve. The heating on these is bad at best. Just watch your head behind you there, Joe. basically you're trying to use the fan from the engine to push air 3 meters along the underneath of the vehicle and then up and out into the dash. So it's bad at best. You know, it's non-existent at worst. So we can do everything we can. We will do everything we can to improve that and make sure there's no leaks. But don't expect miracles from the heating system with this. In reality,
we normally have the opposite. We have like if we've got passengers sat in the back, they're in the back absolutely roasting because the heat from the engine comes out somewhere through underneath the bottom of the back seats. I think. And there must be a way I can turn that off. There's a switch I can do somewhere, but I've forgotten when I bought it. I forgot.
We'll look into that.
But like, they're always like, you're right back there. They're like sweating buckets. We've got the lovely breeze coming in.
Okay, well that's certainly something we can do. The other thing you were looking at was the gear linkage, wasn't it? So you, at some stage, because of the poor linkage, you've actually snapped the gear lever.
I've snapped the gear lever. Has anyone ever done that before? Is that
that's
is that a common thing?
Do you know what? When linkages are like this, I have heard of it done before, which is why you can buy replacements.
It's because I was panicking. I had cars waiting to go past me. I was trying to reverse into my bay at a car park and getting it into gears. The gears aren't too bad. I'm used to it now. But getting into reverse, you've got to push down, then to the left, then down. Because it's such a long gear lever, and I was in a rush and panicking. People were beeping at me, and I was like, "I'm in an old vehicle. Just wait." I panicked and I snapped the gear lever. So.
Everything's luckily for these, because there's such a following with the old VWs. Literally, there is a replacement part for everything. So there's not a problem there. But the linkage is poor, basically because again things wear out. So that is meant to be, for example, if I bring that light there. That is a rubber bush, but it looks more like foam now. And even up the front, there's some bushes missing. So there is so much movement in there. Everything can be so much smoother.
It's that noise even bringing back memories of it happening with PTSD.
So when we're going to be removing the engine and gearbox anyway. But to do that linkage, you have to remove it. The engine and gearbox will come out, and we'll put that on a table or a trestle, move it out of the way. And then it's the only way you can literally get that rod all the way out from front to back, and then we can clean it, grease it, put the right bushings in, and go from there. So
get a new one of these.
Yes, and again we've looked at all of that. The guys from Heritage have sorted us all out, and we've got all those parts coming, which is excellent. In terms of the back end of the vehicle, it's a lot. I'm not going to say a lot better, but it's in a better state than the front, for sure. There's been a good bit of time and money spent on the engine, which is excellent. It's got a little bit of a drip, but this vehicle's been here over the weekend and has dropped one tiny bit of oil, and that's coming from this seal here. It doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere else, and that is where, believe it or not, you actually empty the oil. You drop that whole thing out, and if it's not being put in properly or any of these nuts are loose, you will naturally get, this is the lowest point, so you will get oil dripping out of there. So the gear linkage will all get completely done once engine's out. Moving on then to the rear wheels and the brakes. From what I can see, it's actually had a good amount of work done on them. I reckon whoever did the front brake setup was quite conscious of it, of good brakes, but we will obviously of course go through them and fine tune them if we need to, just make sure they're working correctly. Whilst we're under here, we spoke about it with Heritage, every control cable and pipe we shall replace. So these old brake lines are all a bit wonky, and they're going through metalwork without any protective sleeves or anything. So we will do a copper nickel brake pipe as opposed to just a soft copper.
And so that goes, that's dangerous,
absolutely.
Cool,
absolutely.
All right.
The thing is as well,
we can make that better.
So that will all get redone. The handbrake cables, the accelerator cable, and the clutch cable, we shall all replace as well. So literally you'll be able to jump in this and go, do you know what, everything's been done, full confidence, let's go. I spoke with you earlier about another little roller that helps the accelerator cable run from front to back, and if I can show you, I don't know whether the camera will catch it. I'll have a look inside, or I can get my torch.
What's this thing here as well, this metal?
So that is an earth strap. So if you can, say, think back to your house or in your bathroom, there is an earth cable or wire that goes from, say, your pipe work to a grounding point or an earth point.
Oh, I see.
And that's basically a similar thing. So anything that will create some sort of motion or any sort of friction, you want to earth that.
Yeah.
What it also helps with is the electrical system, electric system as well. So the engine is connected to the gearbox is then connected to the body, and then they're all earthed because obviously you've got to create spark, have some wiring in your engine, etc., etc. So that is just what's called a ground strap. I said earth strap. People get funny with me when I say earth strap because I go, there's no earth on the vehicle. It's a ground strap. So yes, that is a ground strap.
Right.
And that looks to be in great nick. That was obviously replaced when this had a bunch of work. Like I said before, you've picked a great one because it's obviously had a considerable amount of time and money spent on it, which is great. We're just now fine-fettling those things.
Yeah.
In terms of the engine, we're not going to go too crazy with it because it's a very sweet running engine.
Cool.
We will change the oil and we will maybe change some of the consumables, which is things like spark plug leads. We'll go through the filtration system that we spoke about. But pretty much that's it. We'll look to see if we can source any leaks and then we'll fix those leaks.
Cool. Will it be a case of, say, like after this, when I jump in it will turn on straight every time, first time, or I still need to sort of do the old?
Oh, with an old carburetted car. So with your normal everyday car that has got fuel injection.
Right.
So it will always have that perfect air fuel mix. When it comes to starting an old car, especially if it hasn't been run, the fuel in the intake or in the carburetor would have evaporated.
Got ya.
So you give a couple of squeezes of fuel down into the throat of the engine, and then it should fire off.
So I spent since I've had this, I always thought it was clutch. So
oh really?
This shows my knowledge. I was thinking, right, it's not started first time, so let's try 2 on the clutch and then see if that works. I don't know why I had it in my head as clutch. So that's probably why it didn't start until like the 8th.
It's like a button combination on the game controller. I'll unlock it and then it'll start.
I know. Accelerator.
It's the accelerator. You've got to pump it twice at least. And then it should fire first or second time. Really.
Brilliant.
But again, we will have this tuned to the point at which you bring it back every year, for example, just to make sure everything's hunky dory. But yeah, that would be it. So in terms of structure back here as well, everything seems great. There's another thing as well. This whole area here at the back of the vehicle, that's called a reduction gearbox. Now we spoke about slamming the van off camera, didn't we? But and that would need a lot of extra work. You'd be a good few £1,000 into it just on lowering it.
Right.
But I think if we were to do anything, we might just lower it slightly. Maybe an inch or two. Again, that will give it a really nice stance, so to speak. It won't be too high, it won't be too low. You'll still get that usability, that drivability, and it won't detract at all from the vehicle. And it would be the sort of thing that if you wanted to return it back to original, it will take a day in the garage and everything could be back to normal. So no big deal there, really.
So it'll be pothole proof.
Yes, absolutely. They're pretty high up anyway. This one is riding high. It's got some of these. I've never seen bigger tyres on a splitty, so they've got some really good sort of commercial van tyres. So I suspect it actually drives really quite comfortably. We'll be able to probably keep these bigger tyres at the back, but at the front we might just put a narrower on there as well.
Perfect.
But I think that's about it. Really. Like we say, we've seen some of the structural areas. We don't think, there's nothing glaringly obvious that's going to cause any problems in terms of structure. We will look into the underseal as well. We would use something called a wax oil. And that basically means we would spray every surface with this waxy treatment. It's already had some sort of just
painting stuff.
On this side here, look, if I run my finger on there, it's got like a waxy substance already on it. So it's had some sort of treatment on there. But then where it's had work done on it and then paint, you can see where this surface rust is coming through. So what we want to do, whilst it's up in the air like this, we'll get a wire brush, get any loose material off the entire thing. It's a real crappy job.
Goggles on.
Everything. You've got the painting suit on everything. It's a crappy job, but it will add life to your vehicle, so it's a very worthwhile job to do.
This bit's quite rusty as well, these things here.
Yes, yeah. So that isn't a pivotal part of it. That is what's called a bump stop. So if you were to, I don't know, jump the vehicle.
Yeah. Dukes of Hazzard style.
Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard style. There's obviously it needs a limit.
Yeah.
Before it starts bending metal. That's what that is. That's what's called a bump stop. That would hit that point. It doesn't look like it's ever hit that point, to be honest. But yeah.
Not until we get this thing back out. There's got some jumps around here somewhere.
Yeah, we'll jump in the ravines to get away from... Oh God, what's his name? I was into Dukes of Hazzard back in the day, but I can't even remember the name of the villain.
I remember the show. I can't remember the title of the show. I can't remember any of the characters.
But yeah, so
cool.
there's pretty much where we have it. We've got... there's a nice long list to do.
Yeah.
We've got some excellent people backing us, such as Heritage Parts Centre. We've got support from... Butty at Buttys Bits with his parts. We've got support from Neil Oakley at Lightsteer as well, and then we'll be looking at a few other suppliers in terms of parts specific for this build, and we've got some people who will do some bespoke carpentry work as well. So yeah, in terms of what we've got going on, we've got an excellent base to start with, and we can only improve on it from here.
Amazing. It's like the Avengers coming together to bring Chippy back to life.
Assembly,
love it.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get the team back together for sure. So, are you happy with everything you've seen so far?
I'm happy. I'm still trying to get my mind around how it works.
Yep.
But I feel like I've learnt a lot to digest. But yeah, super happy. I'm excited.
It's good. We have got, like I said, lots of people who are willing to help, and we shall. Well, the next stage, I guess, is going to be stripping it down.
Yeah.
And if ever you want to come down and help, the door, we're always open to having people come by and help, and it would be nice to sort of show you really how it works. So if ever you're driving it and you're just conscious of what's going on and how, then you'll know.
That's why I feel it's good. Is I think like everyone that has one of these old buses, you need to have some sort of knowledge.
Definitely.
Because they do tend to sort of struggle a little bit. Yeah. It's always good to sort of know how all at least the basics of how these things work. So I feel like I have already learned quite a lot. So I'll be snooping around. Yeah, and then definitely, and even when it comes to like knowing what you need to look at in the engine. Yeah. So the oil and all that sort of stuff. You know what to look for if anything was to ever go wrong. Perfect. Once it's left here, we hope that's never going to happen. Yeah. No, it won't. It's fine. It's fine. So next stage is then we are going to tear this all down. We'll start from the front and work our way back. And we'll be bringing in lots of other people to help us, so look forward to that. But for now, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Cheers for coming down. Yeah, thank you. And we shall smash straight on with it. Perfect. Maybe not smash, but yeah, we'll carry on with it. Cool, thanks very much everybody, and we shall see you on the next one. Bye bye. See ya. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Combe Valley Campers. If you like this sort of content, it's not just projects that we do. We've got over 150 videos showing you how to build, maintain, repair and convert your own camper van. Now all the videos and playlists you'll find in links down below, but you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we also have a podcast, which is the Camper Van Cast, and again you can find it in a link down below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.